I bought the cheapest house I can find. $34,000. One bedroom, bad location, leaking roof, rotted floors. And the moment I opened the front door, I thought this was a mistake. But I bought it anyway because I wasn't just looking for a deal. I was looking for something to build. Something I could tear apart piece by piece and put back together in a way that finally made sense. I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know what would go wrong. I just knew I wanted to try. So I grabbed a crowbar and started pulling. The first wall came down easy, too easy. I stood there thinking, great, even the walls want to leave. But underneath that old plaster, crumbly wood lathe, and what felt like 10,000 tiny nails, that's when you realize our materials today are so much easier. Back then, everything was heavier, slower. It took more patience to put things together, and even more to take them apart. This was the cheapest house on the market at the time. $34,000, sketchy interior, no insulation. If it existed, it was broken. So naturally, I bought it. But I didn't move in. I walked through the front door, looked around, and said, okay, tear it all out. Because when something's clearly wrong, you don't overthink it. You start making space for something better. I wasn't just fixing things. I reimagined the layout, took a cramped, awkward one bedroom, and turned it into a proper 3-bedroom. That finally felt right. And honestly, it looked good. Like, oh wow, that house has its life together good. I picked up some experience helping my dad over the years. So I wasn't afraid to dive in. But I wasn't alone. That summer, my 14-year-old nephew came to help. There's nothing more wholesome than watching a kid install a full house of insulation while you're cutting studs and pulling wires beside him. He did the whole thing himself. Every bat, every corner. We were staying with my parents that summer. And it was funny. Most mornings, he was the one waking me up. He'd be dressed and ready. While I was still trying to find coffee, he was just a really good kid, and still is. He took every task seriously. Still makes me proud. Friends, cousins, they'd swing by too, especially when things got heavy, or confusing, or both. But most days, it was just me, battling 40 years of weird decisions, with no instructions and no shortcuts. Some nights, I'd sit in the half-finished kitchen, eating takeout on a toolbox, wondering if I was building a home, or just avoiding everything else. But every morning, I came back, because even when I didn't know what I was doing, I trusted I'd figure it out, eventually. There was one part I was nervous about, the roof. It was steep. Hold on to a rope while you breathe steep. But I had help. My brother-in-law, who is a banker, showed up. Never touched a shingle in his life. That was the first and last roof he ever stood on. But he held that rope like it was his job. He was completely out of his element. And he still showed up, climbed a ladder and said, just tell me what to do. You don't forget that kind of help. Respect doesn't even begin to cover it. Then there was the chimney. I wanted it gone to open up the floor plan. But taking down a chimney isn't just some weekend task. It's like disassembling a car, one brick at a time, from the top down. No disasters, no shortcuts. Just slow, steady subtraction. A careful undoing of someone else's idea from 1974. Now, there's one part of this story I haven't told you yet. The low roof at the back of the house. It sagged, it leaked, it looked wrong. So my dad came by, looked at it, didn't say much. Just, well, it can't stay like that. So we started reframing it. And Dave came too. Dave was one of my dad's old crew guys. Rough around the edges, meant well, never listened the first time. Ever. You'd see it in my dad's face. Frustration building. as Dave confidently did the exact opposite of what he was just told. But here's the thing. Dave was trying. He told me once that he was doing his best to learn from my dad while he still could, even if it was a battle. They'd argue, my dad would yell, Dave would shrug, and somehow the work still got done. That was their rhythm, and I respected it. I didn't know how to build cabinets yet. So my dad did the whole kitchen, and it turned out beautiful. My parents always helped when it counted, even if I was stubborn about doing most of it myself. They were always there. And this house, this was the first one where everything I learned growing up got tested for real. I didn't always know what I was doing, but I wasn't afraid to try. And every skill I figured out made the next one easier. More muscle memory, more belief. That's what renovation gives you. Confidence you can see. From rotten joists to the final coat of paint. You start to believe in your own hands, because once you've done it once, you know you can do it again. That house didn't just teach me how to renovate. It showed me what I was capable of, and I wanted more. So I started looking for the cheapest house I could find. Not to flip, not yet, but to fix and rent out. One of them had fire damage, ashes in the corners, smelled like someone gave up halfway through. I bought it anyway, because standing in that burnt out living room, I thought, I've done this once, I can figure it out. I didn't know it yet, but this next house, the burnt one, wouldn't just test my tools. It would test my patience, my optimism, my whole idea what it means to own something. And we'll get into that the next time. But before we go, if you've been watching this and thinking, I could never do that, I want you to know you could. You don't need to know everything. You just need to care enough to try. That's all I did, one task at a time, one busted house at a time. And if you're curious what happens when you keep going, when you start seeing these places not just as problems, but as possibilities, stick around, because next time we're stepping into that burnt house, the one that smelled like a campfire, but turned into something pretty special. See you in the next one.